is now the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. Mr. Mayor, how you doing?
Quite well, quite well. Good to see you all this morning.
Good morning.
Have you called the governor and congratulated her?
We spoke last night. We communicated. And,
Yeah?
happy for her.
She going to help you on crime?
Yes, she has been a real partner around these issues around public safety, and I'm just happy about her returning to Albany and pushing the agenda forward.
She going to help you? She going to be a partner of you on crime in New York City?
Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah. So we've talked about this a lot on the air, and it's so interesting that we talked about crime in Philadelphia with a focus group. I had 4 black voters saying, I'm afraid to go to work, I'm afraid to come home. And then you get progressives going, well, there's no crime. If you look at the data, except for murders, people getting slaughtered, there's no, and you're sitting there going, what world do they live in? And so what I'd love for you to tell me, I understand the data going down, except for murders. Explain to me why people who are cheering for the Democratic Party, want Democrats to win, are frightened by MAGA Republicanism, they're walking around the city and they don't feel as safe as they did 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Why is there a disconnect between what everybody I talk to is saying and people who love New York and some politicians who say, no, it's just your imagination. Everything's okay.
Well, we have to not talk at people, but talk with people. And I'm on the subway system every day.
Right.
Just about, I walk down and I want to see the subway system. And I'm engaging with people one-on-one. And our conversation cannot be, I'm going to dictate to you how you feel. I need to ask you how you feel.
Right.
I need to govern to that. And I believe that's what the problem is. We have a double-digit decrease in homicides, double-digit decrease in shooting, something that I wanted to focus on.
Since when?
From January, comparing to last year. But what does that mean to a mother who just lost a loved one to gun violence? Or if you sat in the classroom and someone carried a gun inside the classroom, that means nothing. And the goal is to speak directly to voters and find out, what are you feeling? And I must deal with the actual and how you feel. That's
right. I'm trying to figure this out because so much of it does have to do with feelings that a lot of leaders say doesn't match up with data. I'm wondering, is it post-COVID? Are there more homeless people on the streets that have mental challenges that used to be taken care of pre-COVID, and there used to be more of a safety net there? Is that what could be making people feel less comfortable there? And again, it's not that, this person is poor. No, it's that they're walking down the street and somebody comes up and screams and yells at them and pushes them down.
Well, a couple of things. We never took care of homeless. This is a generational problem, and we listened to the narrative of the loudest when I went into the subway system and said that we're not going to allow people to live in an undignified way in the subway system. I'm not going to allow the encampments. The loudest attacked me, but we were able to get 2,000 people off the subway system into some type of housing.
And really quickly, can you explain to everybody how allowing people to have mental challenges, to be homeless on the street as winter approaches, is not humanitarian? It's not safe for them.
No, it's not.
Not safe for New Yorkers, not safe for anybody. And yet some progressives think that's being inhumane to actually take people off the streets where they sleep on grates in the winter.
It's inhumane to allow it to continue. January of this year, the first month I went out and went into those camps. Saw human waste, drug paraphernalia, stale food, clothing, some people dealing with bipolar. And I made it clear to the team when I finished those weeks of visiting those camps that we are not going to continue this policy of walking past people that are living on our streets. That is inhumane. And the loudest is not going to get in the way of what the right thing to do of making sure we give people the care they deserve.
How do we fund proper treatment? Because, you see a lot of charter schools that are helped by the richest billionaires on Wall Street. And I'm not knocking the richest billionaires on Wall Street. I'm so glad that they're helping in Harlem and they're helping in the Bronx and they're helping around the 5 boroughs. I'm just curious, how do we get people engaged to help the truly disadvantaged that are on the streets, that need to get off of the streets and need to get treatment?
Let me tell you how. We ask them. You know, our corporate leaders in this city were waiting just to be invited in. Kathy Weil and a partnership, they raised millions of dollars to specifically deal with how do we help people who are homeless. They have been a real partner. You know, we have 2% of our income, 51% of our income tax is paid by 2% of New Yorkers. Instead of trying to run them out of the city, no, they should be part of our financial ecosystem. And they have stepped up, merely because we went into our corporate suites and offices and engaged in the conversation, saying, this is our city. And they said, Eric, we have been waiting for someone to come in and talk to us.
And if you ran them out the city, you have no tax base to do the kinds of things you want to do. But one of the things that I want to raise with you, clearly there is a feeling, and Joe and Mika and I talk about it all the time, is a feeling of being unsafe.
Yes.
And for some to come back with the data, when you have people that are feeling unsafe, that have real life experiences, fear about their children who have had the real life experiences, data doesn't matter. And you've come out saying that strongly. In fact, you ran on that when it wasn't popular in some aspects of certain communities, including the black community, and you won.
Right.
Is it not detrimental to you and the messaging that you did? And I know you've helped get some people in that were not willing to go where you went. But isn't it detrimental to you for a lot of our officials, I'm talking about in New York and nationally, Democrats, that won't do what you did and say, wait a minute, we've got to deal with the reality that whether the data says it or not, perceived unsafety is real to these people.
But no, without a doubt. I use the acronym ICE, inflation, crime, economy. That's it. And no matter how people feel, if you don't respond to that feeling, then you are abandoning exactly what's needed. And Democrats have a good product when it comes down to public safety. They're afraid to talk about it. Right. They feel as though if you talk about supporting police, if you talk about good, strong gun laws, if you talk about going after those small number of people who are committing crime, they're afraid to articulate that. But everyday New Yorkers, particularly in the inner city, they don't want these repeated offenders. This catch, repeat, release system is just destroying the foundation of our country. And that's why we're losing in this election. 6 out of 10 New Yorkers in the Hispanic and Asian community voted Democrat, compared to 7 to 8 out of 10 last time. We are losing the base of black and brown who really believe in those basic things: public safety, housing, education. We cannot talk our way out of this. We have to be real what people are facing on the street.